Special thanks to campendium.com for helping us find all these awesome free campsites. Um, this was just outside of Theodore Roosevelt National Park in North Dakota. We got there early and set up our tent, and we left it up the for the day and went to the national park. We did the South National Park on day one, and then we drove to um, the north area on the next day, and did a 6 mile hike just outside the north area with the dog. National parks don't allow dogs. Um, the wind was like uh, gusts of 30, 35 miles an hour. I thought our tent would be gone when we came back, but it was still there. The aluminum tent poles were permanently curved, um, but still functioned just fine. And you can see that the Badlands there, and get an idea of what you'd see if you drove into Theodore Roosevelt National Park. It's just gorgeous and really cool that we could sit there and camp for free. And um, people always ask me if I felt safe. There were always a few other campers around. You can see a car there, a car there, um, and so yeah, it never felt sketchy at any of the campsites we stayed at. Um, there's my car down there at the bottom of the window, and this is a short little clip showing Ketchum, Idaho. This was the one place where we were lucky that there was a laundromat, 24-hour laundromat, because we needed to dry some sleeping bags that got wet from a leaking hot water bottle. Hell's Canyon, the most beautiful and scenic, the most scenic campsite we stayed at. This is the Big Bar campsite on the Idaho side of Hell's Canyon, and we're down in the canyon looking up at the mountains. We're on the Idaho side. The other side is the Oregon side. There were mountain goats up in the top of those mountains. But that's a whole different set of drone videos. This is as the sun was going down. You can see the shadow there. It was just gorgeous. We got up the next morning and headed into Oregon, and we were stayed out of the cold for the most part. This at the end of this lake, there's a dam, and on the other side, there's an overlook that is just incredibly epic. This is supposedly the deepest canyon in North America. And now a gratuitous cinematic shot of Mount Hood, just me playing around with my drone. The lighting is kind of funny here, but we had camped a few miles back up the road. I don't have any footage of that. It was a little, I think, a 3-person campsite. This was our first place, Upper Sweetwater Campground, after spending a couple weeks with our daughter in Oakland, California. Just incredible scenery. A little bit more populated, so we got there early and grabbed our spot at about maybe 1 p.m. There was only 6 spots in this campground, and we were person number 4, and the other 2 spots got snapped up within an hour or two after that. So we grabbed our spot and went for a nice epic hike. You can see from the area that there's just a lot of elevation changes and a lot of scenery. This is very close to Pinnacles National Park, which is more of a hiking park than a drive-through park. But we proceeded to this spot here to do our hiking, which was pretty cool and ensured us a spot in spite of the limited number of spaces and the higher population of California area, the West Coast. I suppose I could have edited this and cut some of it out, but I just love this scenery, and we really enjoyed walking through it with our dog. This was probably the most, ironically, in spite of the remoteness, one of the campers was playing their music at night. That wasn't that late, but we were used to going to bed at sundown, so we improvised a little white noise on my cell phone. We recorded a little white noise of us scratching our air mattresses and put that into a loop, and that was enough to drown out the music and let us sleep in peace. Sorry about not editing this further, but yeah. Anyway, you get a good idea of the campground here on the right. There's 6 campsites in a big loop, 1 pit toilet, and each site has a little roof and a picnic table, and plenty of room for an RV or trailer or anything else. Um, and a little tricky to put a tent peg in, a tent stake, because it's all gravel or really hard packed dirt. But we made do. Hi there. So the next place was just really, really cool. Had all these rocks and lava formations around it. This tunnel was right at the edge of our campsite, so I just had to fly the drone through it. Um, Hard to pound in a tent peg here, but plenty of solid things to anchor your tent to, and kind of protected from the wind anyway. Um, but the lava formations were just really cool. This video I did edit a little bit to save you some boredom, but we're kind of up high, and you can see out into the valley. There are some trails around here. We didn't take advantage of them because we were headed to Joshua Tree, but there are some trails up in these rocks. We did see one big tarantula just moseying across the road um, in the morning. But this is a 5-star campground. Again, pit toilets, concrete picnic tables, pavilions, spaced out, lots of rock formations, really unique campsites, gorgeous scenery. Just not too far outside of Joshua Tree. And this is what it looks like when you get up high enough to see over those rocks and into the valley beyond. Just really cool. After this campsite, we went to Joshua Tree, and then we were kind of hightailing it back to the east because Leslie wanted to get back and spend some time with her folks and with her aunts while they were visiting her dad. And it was we were kind of dodging some rainstorms as well. We had planned to go down to Corpus Christi and camp on the beach a little bit, but the weather didn't look like it was going to be real conducive to that. A lot of rain, and so we did a little bit more driving and just found some spots that were in convenient locations, like the Ramsey Mine Dispersed campsite. Lots of cactus. This was before we went to the Saguaro National Park, but it was on the way there, I believe. This was probably the most rustic campsite that we stayed at. It was basically just on the side of a creek, on the side of a gravel road, and there was only one other living soul in the area where we were camping. So I would say this was the most remote spot. But we were still only a few miles from the highway. And when we left here, there was this really cute little wayside chapel that was open, and you could just sit there and, meditate, have your quiet time. The churches in the area had joined together to put that there. But, yeah, kind of show, yeah, there's the dog. This was the one night we didn't put up a rain fly. It was so dry, and we were able to just watch the stars all night, which was really cool. We had jugs of water that we kept full in the car, um, which was a good thing because it was awfully dry down in these parts of the U.S. For those of you who are wondering, I have a $24 a month membership to Planet Fitness, which allows me to invite a friend and go anywhere in the country. So that was how we got cleaned up. Every 3 or 4 days, we would just swing by a Planet Fitness and take a shower and get all cleaned up. Felt real good. The rest of the time, it was just sponge baths or wipes, wet wipes. So we're nearing the end. I think we got just one more. But we managed to go for 38 days, and over half the time we or camping. The other half we were visiting our daughter or other folks in Tennessee or Kentucky on the way back home. But for 20 or 21 nights we camped, and every night it was for free. Never once paid a dime for a campsite or anything else. Well, we paid for food and gas, but that was it. About $40 or $50 a day on average, and not counting 2 new tires and 4 sets of brakes, or 1 full set of brakes. Last spot was Sunset Reef Campground, right between the Guadalupe National Park, Guadalupe Mountains National Park, and Carlsbad Caverns National Park. That's actually the Sunset Reef Campground at the top of the screen. We drove up to it and saw half a dozen campers, and then turned around and drove back to this site right here that we had seen on the way in. And it was halfway between the access road and the campsite. And this worked out well for us. It was nice and quiet. We still felt like we were, not too vulnerable since we were right near the campground. There was a little traffic back and forth. A couple 4-wheelers went by. You can see the main road out there that's headed over to Carlsbad Caverns. There were 3 or 4 other parking lots in the area that allowed dispersed camping, but people were right on top of each other. It was literally just would have been setting up our tent in a gravel parking lot right next to RVs and other campers. So we were pretty happy finding this one little spot here that we had to ourselves, and having our own privacy. It was quiet and gorgeous. I think it was kind of windy there. That's why the drone is shaking a little bit as it comes around. But that ridge right there ends at the Guadalupe Mountains, way off in the distance, in front of the setting sun. And you can't see it in this video, but there's some pretty impressive rugged rock features at the end of that range, right at the Guadalupe Mountains National Park, which I'm told, as impressive as those features are, it's far more impressive to put on a backpack and hike into the mountains. There, that's the end of it right there. Well, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, campendium.com really came through for us. We found at least 20 different campsites that we stayed at, and the reviews were very accurate, and the experience was very, very positive. And it's good to know that we can pick up and travel and have a fantastic time without having to spend much money. God bless you all.